Colonial Pipeline paid 75 Bitcoin, or roughly $5 million, to hackers. We've all heard of the trouble at Colonial Pipeline. Their system was hacked. They couldn't send gas through the pipelines, thus leading to a potential gas shortage in the United States. Prices are rising. People are allegedly filling up trash bags and laundry containers full of gasoline. All those videos are actually from 2019, so that's fake. But it's nice to pretend that's what the media helps us do whenever they need footage for something. But they did pay to recover their stolen data. They paid $5 million in Bitcoin, roughly 75 Bitcoin. However, according to the information reported here, it looks like the company is still going to restore from backup servers because the tool provided by the hackers was inferior. It was not a good tool and it was too slow. So they paid this money, but they didn't really get anything. It is a good example of ransomware and an issue we talk about all the time. Dan, Eve, is it Bitcoin's fault? Did Bitcoin enable this pipeline to have such bad security for such an important service that they were easily hacked and their data encrypted? Is this all due to Bitcoin?
Well, I'd say it's obviously Bitcoin's fault, and it's obviously the idea of the computer's fault, and then obviously it's electricity's fault. And then if we didn't have humans, it wouldn't have happened. So, we can just take it back to square zero. But ironically, the fiat money actually holds the world to ransom. But we're going to hear the same old arguments that, it's a new tech and it can be used for something just because it makes it better. I mean, there's still ransoms that are happening with cash, because obviously cash is really good for laundering and stuff. There's still lots of techniques, and I've seen them wash it and stuff in the movies, and they literally clean it and hang it on the washing lines in the bathroom of the hotel, all of that stuff. But I think crypto really hasn't hit it until Dogecoin is used for ransom. Until that point, then it's just run of the mill stuff. But obviously, I still get you, and you guys have got to watch out for this too. It's not just Bitcoin talk, but it happened with me but I still get the emails now from from the hacked Bitcoin talk, where it says we've got all these nudes of you, and they show you your password, what your password was at the time. And I'm like, I delete it after I've paid them. They still keep coming back. I did make a lot of nudes. But no, obviously ignore any of that sort of stuff, because they won't get it. It's just make sure you change your password and stuff. But yeah, it's just a technology upgrade in whatever illegal activity it is. And that's just going to happen with everything, like it did with the internet, making fraud a lot easier. So, oh well.
That reminds me of a classic Chevy Chase line from Dirty Work. He says, "You know what's funny about bookies? Even after they break your legs, you still owe them the money." Josh Segala, your thoughts on 75 Bitcoin paid to hackers?
The weird thing is that the media is so stupid that they still say, "Ooh, Russians." It's the Russians, or it's and they make it sound like it's a government attacking when it's really just a very profitable business model. In fact, these ransomwares are so profitable. I mean, it's very unethical, absolutely. But it's these people are so professional that they'll give you helplines, and look at these guys. These guys offered to fix their database issues or whatever the hell, and give them better software. I mean, look, $5 million is pretty cheap. Little sort of penetration testing costs. I'm seeing a lot of chatter about that governments need to enforce, and this is on also libertarian style news. I'm hearing this, where people even in those circles are demanding that government put more regulation on companies to force them to be more secure if they're dealing with large scale infrastructure. But the fact of the matter is that these sorts of attacks are a way to harden infrastructure. As shit as it is, the worst part is when they hit hospitals and things like this. But a pipeline, it's I can't. One thing I also find weird is that you can say, this got hacked, but you know, voting machines totally safe, can't get hacked, totally safe, don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, they're just anything that's connected to the internet is open to vulnerabilities, and it's not just everything's safe. You know, running a crypto exchange, you gotta be on the ball the whole time. So we know a thing or two about security, and it's extremely hard. And yeah, there are these companies out there that that run really critical infrastructure, and they do need to be on top of their game, and they will be eventually ransomed if they aren't on top of it. The funny thing is, some of these places are so old school that they're still running sort of green and black screens and things, you know, because they just haven't upgraded forever. So hackers don't even know how to, you know, code in machine language or something. They have to get in there. But yeah, I think it'll just play out where these companies have to keep paying, and ransomware people don't want to make it too much, because then people won't pay, and they usually actually do unlock your data, because they want to be known as, look, if you pay, it does help. So it's a weird world. And folks, for those folks that think this is a Bitcoin problem, I'm old enough to remember ransomware before Bitcoin, believe it or not. And there's even an audio book. I was listening to there's a very famous audio book called the three question marks, the drei Fragezeichen in German. And they talk, I think it's an early 80s audio book about a ransomware that told them to drop cash in a certain bin or whatever. Of course, Bitcoin makes it a lot safer for that business model on the attacker's side. But yeah, yeah, look, get better at backing up your data, and harden your security.
They used to just include their address. You could send them money at the P.O. box. But I agree with what Josh said. A $5 million penalty for not running Windows Update is actually pretty cheap. They got off light. Although the shutdown on the pipeline, that might cost them a fortune. Alejandro, looks like you've moved from the beach to a undisclosed mining location. What do you think about Colonial Pipeline paying the hackers?
Well, I think that I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't know what's going on. I mean, there could be a lot of people say it's not, but I'm sure there's some geopolitical tensions in there somewhere. I know that I read that hacking group, or that group that ransomed the pipeline, immediately shuts off if it scans the computer, and if it finds anything in Russian, or if the computer's somehow Russian, it shuts off it by itself. So it doesn't attack Russian language computers, which in itself is interesting. I'm not much about narratives and stuff. I don't care about that stuff, but I think that's interesting. I mean, if you think about it, Russia is also blocking. I mean, the United States is blocking Russia and Germany from their pipeline, Nord Stream 2. So it's kind of funny that all of a sudden now there's some good stuff going on. But that's just me just having a good time. I don't know anything. Yeah, it's Bitcoin is the best currency there is, that you can do these things. It's a privacy and focused internet coin that works wonderful for legitimate use cases, and sometimes not so legitimate, but it works exactly as it's intended to do so.